cowboy movies. They're rough with you. No, I ain't going nowhere. I had her sitting back over here now.
We're honored to have her. I missed my skybox though. I had a
Excellent.
Good. Good to hear.
Do you have to present to them?
Yes.
I don't know, let me find out from Charlotte. I'll find out, and I'll tell you in a minute, okay? Okay.
Caddo Parish School Board will now come to order. I'll ask Mr. Don Little if he would lead us in the invocation and the pledge. Mr. Little.
Join me if comfortable in a prayer to begin our meeting. Lord Christ, we're meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech.
Yes.
Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you, Christ, for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge, please. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if the members will observe for roll call, indicate your attendance. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes of the March 23rd, March 25th, April 6th, April 7th Caddo Parish School Board meetings. Entertain a motion to accept. Mr. Ryle.
So moved.
Mr. Rochelle.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the minutes from those meetings. Please vote. All the votes are tallied. Now I'm going to go to the next item on the agenda is presentation and recognitions. Dr. Gorey.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Charnay McDonald, who is our Assistant Director of Communications, with our presentations for today.
Thank you, Dr. Gorey. Hello, President Albritton, board members, and community. Today we have a couple presentations, and we will start with, you'll see we got to highlight our Career Center, and we also will highlight a couple amazing counselors in our district, and we have a couple other things for you. We'll start with this video.
welcome to episode 5 of Board Recognitions and Highlights. I'm Lacey, a 3rd grade Wildcat at University Elementary School. We will start today by reflecting on the first ever Caddo Career Week. Did you know that our Career Center has nationally recognized programs? And you can learn so much there. They teach classes on welding, auto technology, graphic design, nursing, culinary, and more. We dedicated an entire week to promote all the good happening at our Career Center. There were a lot of TV interviews thanks to our partners on Channel 6. They talked about all the good information that students are learning, how they earn certifications, and how it helps them decide what they want to be when they grow up.
I enjoy this class because it allows me to actually use my hands to work. It actually enables hands-on learning instead of me being stuck in a class doing a bunch of paperwork. It gets me ready to go out into the world when I graduate. Helps me to, it's made it easier for me to get a job, especially one that actually pays good. But I do recommend this for everyone, or at least to try.
It is just so much fun. You get to pursue your creativity and imagination into art on the computer, and it's great. I love it. Whenever I graduate, I want to attend BIPC to get my associate's degree in communication media, and then hopefully a 4-year college,
Awesome.
LA Tech. And I want to, be able to pursue my work to be able to hopefully see it everywhere.
So what inspired me was actually my favorite TV show, Supernatural, and so I designed 3 different looks based off of different characters and aspects of the show. And I really love this class because I get to do my own thing and be creative how I want to be creative. And I knew nothing about sewing before I got into this class, so everything I've learned has been in this class, which I've really enjoyed. So right now I am a little unsure about what I want to do, but taking this class has really opened my eyes to the fashion world and continuing with fashion in my career or in college, which I think would be a really good thing for me creatively.
So when I had just come to this school, I know nothing about it. So I decided to take programming class last year and then working class this year. It's all about computer.
I love that we get to get a hands-on atmosphere. We get to work it. We get to experience doing all this before we do the internship, so we know how to do everything already. We've learned how to take stone models of their teeth, and we've learned how to assist a dentist chairside. We learned how to do the lights and place it correctly. We learned how to do the high-speed evacuator for their saliva.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've really learned a lot, and it helps because when we do that internship, we're prepared. We already know what to do. We won't freak out when we're there.
We get to learn welding and carpentry and electrical and things like that, real-life situations that goes on after high school. I want to do welding in the Air Force after high school.
The Career Center staff also made us look really good. Here's a look at the classes we share with the community.
At Caddo Career Center, we have a program that introduces any Caddo Parish High School student to the world of dentistry. If there's somebody interested in any area of the dental field, whether it be dental assisting, going into dental hygiene as a college degree, or on to dental school, I have students that want to learn if that's something they're really interested in. So this is an awesome program to show them those things and to learn about dentistry. We start with some classroom. I've got this end of the classroom is tables and chairs. We do some regular learning, and then we come to the lab. I try to incorporate lab programs weekly that they can actually do hands-on. When they finish my class, they can take digital x-ray. They are certified with an x-ray safety certification, so they can go straight into a dentist office and have the knowledge they need to work as an entry-level dental assistant, if that's what they're interested in.
Our goal is at the end of the year, they achieve their Adobe Certified Associate. So what that gets them is an associate certification that lasts for 3 years, and they can utilize that throughout after high school and throughout their workforce and college. And a cool fact about our Adobe Certified Associates is that BIPC, Bossier Parish Community College, will give you 1 college credit per certification you get.
Oh, nice.
So they can actually go beyond when they start college and get out sooner.
That's fantastic. So you're really getting a running start when you take these classes and you get the certifications.
That's right, yeah. And these certifications, if you're out of school, they're $100 per test. So at Career Center, they're free.
That's awesome.
So that's an amazing opportunity for high school students to, before they graduate, to be certified in multiple applications.
This here have a ability for the students to get some sort of certification, which would let them either get an introductory type position or possibly dual enrollment for higher on for post-secondary.
Congratulations to everyone who participated in Caddo Career Week, where students are really discovering their passions. If you have a high school student, enroll them by going to caddocareer.com. Next, what would schools be like without our counselors? We have 3 amazing ladies to recognize for their hard work. We have our District Counselors of the Year. We get to hear from them and what makes their job so rewarding.
Hi, I'm Lamisa Fleury, pre-K through 2nd grade counselor at Southern Hills Elementary School.
Hi, my name is Rosalind Davis, and I'm 8th grade counselor at Uri Drive Middle School.
Hi, my name is Ty Edwards Robinson, and I am the 9th and 10th grade school counselor at Caddo Magnet High.
I love my job so much because I get to make positive change in the lives of my students, and being able to actually see that makes all the difference in the world. It has been my family for the past 8 years. I love it here. I love the atmosphere. I love the parents. We are definitely a family. And what better way to help your family become successful? And I'm here supporting everybody, cheering for everybody, and it's just an awesome feeling.
School counselors really support the academic, social, and emotional growth of a student. And the pandemic has really increased student anxiety and depression. But our service work, where we support students and find solutions, is really needed so much more now. Well, I just really enjoy watching the students, their growth and transition to high school. We're able to kind of get a glimpse of them coming from elementary school and really helping them find that path to success and move on to high school. So I really love to see that, the growth in the students.
I believe counselors are the heartbeat of the school. I am big on being transparent, big on the fact that I am a parent first. And so I take all that into account. And counselors, you know, we are the heartbeat. We keep it going. I am very honored to have this award, and it blessed me. I really strive to do my best every day and give 160%, but I am the one that's blessed to be a part of Caddo Parish school system.
That's it for today, everyone. I'm Lacey, and you can find me singing, learning, dancing, and acting at university. Thanks for tuning in. Bye!
Okay, and one thing that we did not mention in that video, during Caddo Career Week, we wrapped up with announcing 30 recipients to receive a $2,000 scholarship from towards higher education that was from Caddo Career and Technology Center, thanks to their foundation and several community donors. All right, so we have one more presentation, and I'd like to call down Dr. Gorey and President Albritton for this one. And this includes a familiar face. I'd also like to call up Mr. Green, Mr. Raymond Green. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Green is in so many ways a part of the fabric of Caddo schools. He started his career in the district in 1966 as a math teacher at Bethune Junior Senior High School. Mr. Green has been an advocate for educators and school employees while also calling for academic excellence for all children. And over the past 55 years, his position in the district may have changed, but he pursued positions including time as a counselor, among others, but his drive and passion for Caddo has never changed. Mr. Green was sworn in as a board member in 2015 and has faithfully served the students and schools of District 7 ever since. Now, as he begins his retirement, we are bringing him back to offer a little token of gratitude and thank him for his service. Right. Do you want to speak into the microphone?
This is certainly something that I did not anticipate. But please know that my years on the board were so beautiful because I worked with the best board I think that Caddo has ever had. And you are to be commended for the job that you do and in the manner in which it's done. I believe I talked with the attorney, and he said I could do a favor. Am I correct, Mr. Attorney? Okay. Well, as a result of being, I guess, a pretty good board member and having been re-elected one time, there were some folks that were very, 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 very helpful for that effort. And it was so good that after doing 2 terms, I still have a little bit of money left. Yeah. And I'm going to ask that if I say it improperly, that the attorney correct me, that I'm going to turn it over to the board, and hopefully it will be distributed to some of our schools or whatever organization that you might find fit for it. But please keep in mind that Oak Park ought to be at the top of that list. Thank you. And this has been, I guess you call a voyage that I never could have perceived. And certainly you have made me much more than I ever anticipated. And for that, I ought to congratulate you, but I might beat you just as well. Thank you all, and have a very, very beautiful meeting. Yeah, I have my daughter, and you know, I stand on one effort that the Green family is a teaching family. That's right. All of, including Jasmine and Ramona Green, Ramona raised her hand. Now, Ramona is a character. And she's at Lockwood High School right now. And she believes in being just like her mom, who worked at Captain Street and other many places. And may I say to you, I believe they convinced me a couple of days ago that she was doing a tremendous job. Although she picks on the board member from here, and I know right now we're going to double team her if she does anything differently other than what we're now getting proud of her. Ramona, thank you for being such a good person, okay? All right. Okay. And then I have a grandson, and he is a character. We couldn't keep him here in Caddo for a reason that I will even not share with you. But he slipped off and got with his dad, who was working at Mansfield, and his mom was transferred by her employee to Houston, Texas. So that left him out here. And believe it or not, his mother said he could be with his daddy. So she gave the daddy custody. And he has walked the dream through this family. And we're so proud of you, Adrian. And thank you for all that you do. He's going to attend Houston Baptist University as a student, a football player, and a man who is pursuing a degree in education. And so we're so proud of you. Thank you.
This is mine too? I think that's yours. Both of them? Okay. All right.
Gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add? Okay, all right. Well, that wraps up our presentations for the afternoon. Okay.
Mr. Rochelle. Mr. President, actually two things. Number one is I'm actually on the Caddo Career Technical Center Foundation that raises the money and gives the scholarships and everything. And I'm going to tell you, if you've never been there and you've not toured the facilities or participated in the scholarship award banquet, okay, y'all would not believe the competition that these children, I hate to call them children, young adults participate in. We win national awards all over the country. I mean, it is incredible, and these young people are going out and getting great jobs. So hopefully everybody will be able to participate in that. Number two, Mr. Green, you are a man of integrity and good character, and I'm going to use a word that a lot of people may not understand, but I mean it with true sincerity. You are a righteous man, and you know what I mean when I say that. And it's been just a privilege to serve on this board with you, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Ms. Bell?
I'd like to echo what Mr. Rochelle is saying. Mr. Green, you've been a blessing, but you've been a blessing in my life for a long time. For the organizations, school, everything, teachers' organizations, you gave wisdom to us. You worked with us. I call you the person that pulled us together. So I just want to say, we're going to miss you, but thank you so much for being the educator that you happen to be. Thank you for coming in my life, Mr. Green. Love you.
Ms. Green?
And I won't prolong. I want to thank Mr. Green as well. Thank you so much for serving. You have been a great, great board member to work with, and I hope to continue your legacy you leave behind. I know it's going to be hard for me to hold myself sometime, but he mentioned something about some funds. I think they're going to go to Green Oaks in honor of his name, Green, the green part. Hey, we'll make sure to spend it wisely. Thank you.
And our newest board member, Mr. Darren Dixon. Mr. Dixon.
Thank you. I'd like to wish Mr. Green well. I've been knowing this family for a long time, all the way back at Southern University when I pledged his son, Michael. And not many years after that, I became acquainted with Miss Ramona Green, who seemed to have had a whole lot of acquaintance with Lake Providence. Be that as it may, I wish you well. I hope that I could be a small replica of the man that they're talking about today. Thank you.
Mr. Ryle.
Ms. Green, concerning those funds, don't you remember that Mr. Green's daughter teaches at Northwood?
That's it.
Mr. Mayo.
Okay, I'm not going to ask for the money. I would like to ask young Lacey's last name and university. She was simply outstanding. And Lacey Smith. And now I'll say to my friend, Mr. Green, I already told you, God made one Mr. Green. And I'm so glad that you came into my life and the lives of the ones that are on this board. But guess what? You've helped us so many times, not just with parliamentary procedure, but to understand how to be able to agree and disagree at the same time and still leave on one accord. and I thank you so much for that. And I always remember this. Maggie Green would tell you, Raymond, you better get it right. So enjoy life, okay? Okay, enjoy. All right, thank you.
Dr. Gorey?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Green, again, congratulations on your service. I can only imagine when you began teaching, 55 years ago, you would imagine what would the end look like, and whoever would have dreamed that you would end that career on the school board. And what I'll tell you is that anyone that met you along the way would have known that your end would either be at the school board or something similar to that. I was once told by a mentor that when you learn from great leaders, not only to learn from the things they do, but from the things that they don't do. Mr. Green, I can tell you honestly, there is no behavior that you exhibited that is a don't do. You have exhibited the highest level of character. You've delivered the highest level of just professionalism since you sat on this board. And as I go through this career, probably only midway through, I will take every lesson I've learned with you into every journey that I do. So I do thank you for the incredible investment that you've made in me, into my life, and ultimately the children of our parish will benefit from that. So I wish you the best in your true retirement this time. Now, you can't come back again. This is a true retirement, right, Ramona? This is your true retirement, and I wish you well and look forward to lunch, breakfast, and all those fun things. But congratulations, and thank you for your service to our children.
One more thing. I know that this school organization does so many things for public education. There are some things that I certainly hope that you would look at very closely. Number one, we prepare our students for the next step in their lives. And we do a heck of a job at it. Right now, I don't know how to say it in a manner in which it ought to be said, but I'm going to say it in the smoothest manner that I can say it. We need to look at situations where we prepare a child for an education and a life of work. And we are preparing those children to go out and get jobs that they're qualified to handle. But we have to compete with them to keep them from going other places. And it's not your fault, Mr. Board. It's all our fault to allow ourselves to train children, and they go up to be young men in professional fields, and we cannot give them a matching salary, so they go where they get the highest pay, and that's correct to do. I'm going to suggest we have a super governor and a super state attendant, that we look at asking the citizens of the state of Louisiana to give us a salary so we won't lose these good people that we have that's going somewhere else. Thank you, board, for listening.
Thank you.
Good point. We thank you. We now come to our visitor section of the board meeting. I know we have cards here already. Keep in mind, when it is your time to speak, please step to the microphone and make your remarks to the entire board. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. A time clock on the monitors will help you be aware of your time. When time runs out, your time is up. I'm sorry. Were there other presentations?
No, we're done.
Okay. It's the board's policy not to respond to individually to members of the audience. When appropriate, the board may refer concerns to the staff to be addressed. As this is a public meeting, we ask you to refrain from referring to personnel by name or incident, and we appreciate your participation. We have a special presentation from 2 students, Emma Dong and Gretchen Upton. If y'all would come forth now and make your presentation to the board.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here and giving us this time to talk about the implementation of menstrual hygiene in Caddo Parish schools. My name is Gretchen Upton.
My name is Emma Dong.
and we are seniors at Caddo Magnet High School this year. Before we begin, we just wanted to acknowledge that some of the topics we'll be talking about today might be a little bit uncomfortable, but that discomfort is what has stagnated this issue for so long. We need to be able to overcome that stigma in order to better serve our students. So to first understand the importance of implementing these free menstrual products in school bathrooms, we first have to understand period poverty. One 2018 study found that 1 in 4 women struggle to purchase period products due to lack of income, and 1 in 5 report missing work or school. Most importantly, only about 4% of women are aware of local resources for free or reduced cost period products, and state and federal safety net programs cannot be used to purchase these products. This lack of accessibility leads to using substitute products like toilet paper or socks, stretching usage, and that leads to infections. This lack of access also just exacerbates the existing shame that we already see in our schools and society, and that stigma can be really dangerous. It leads to feelings of hesitation around speaking about our bodies and just generally contributes to a lack of understanding about menstruation and female bodies that can prove very harmful. These problems are even more prevalent in education. We see that 84% of students have either missed class or know somebody that has missed class due to lack of access to period products. Low-income students are especially vulnerable here, and this lack of access builds discomfort and embarrassment that really detracts so much from our education, and that financial burden has to fall somewhere. Here is a statement from one Caddo Parish educator who has taken on that financial burden at Caddo Magnet High School, who gave us a statement for us to read before you today, saying, "I've been providing pads and tampons for any student in the PE department, anyone at the school that comes and asks for the last 12 years out of my own pocket. As a woman and mother of 4 daughters, I thought it was important to have access to these items in case of an unexpected emergency or if they simply forgot to bring extras during that time of the month." And here we have a video of another Caddo Parish educator from Magnet High School, Miss Amanda Lawrence.
I'm just really excited that Girl Up is doing this. School is stressful. It kind of has to be. But if we could get as close as possible to having the only stress be an academic stress, then I think that would be the ideal world. Having students have to worry about whether or not they have pads and tampons with them is just one more thing that we can take off of their plate. And I think it's a fantastic thing, and I would love to see it spread throughout Caddo Parish.
In this moment, it is especially important that we make these changes. With the onset of COVID-19, we see an economic crash that has hurt families in our region, and students who before may have had reliable access to these products might now be forced into using alternatives. Additionally, Shreveport has actually already seen movement on this issue, with just weeks ago making progress to eliminate the pink tax in the city, which is a luxury tax on feminine products. This is a growing national movement, with states like California and New York following in the footsteps of New Zealand as they work to provide free period products in all schools. And we see actually that schools who have provided these products for free for all students, such as Castleview Academy in the UK, have seen attendance rates go up by 1/3.
So recognizing this need at Caddo Magnet High, we wanted to make a difference. In January, we started stocking the school bathrooms with free pads and tampons. Since then, the members of our club have been restocking, and that's when we saw just how real the need is. Over 26 school days, excluding breaks and weekends, 439 tampons were used, and 408 pads were used. That's a total of 847 pads and tampons over just 26 school days, which is 33 products a day. And this is in a year where in-person attendance is abnormally low. Accounting for virtual students adding about 20%, that comes out to 40 products a day. That's 40 students that we are directly helping every single day. So this club-sponsored program has run without flaw, with support from the custodial staff.
Sharon Pettis. I'm the daytime custodian at Caddo Magnet High School. And the tampons and the sanitary napkins and the panty liners in the girls' bathroom has been a blessing to a lot of the young ladies at the school. A lot of times, young ladies leave home and they don't have what they need, and to be able to walk into the bathroom and they can turn around and pick up what they need has been a blessing.
But this is not something a club can do sustainably.
My name is Sharon Pettis.
Caddo Magnet High is unique in its ability to run a donations-based program, as 14% of our students are on free and reduced lunch, compared to the Caddo Parish average of over 52%. The need for free menstrual products is much greater parish-wide. So taking this income disparity into account, the Caddo projected average would be about 150 products per day. At 20 cents per product, that's $3,500 to provide free pads and tampons for a school of about 1,000 students for 1 year. With all this in mind, here are some statements from Caddo Magnet High students.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Sanders.
Hi, I'm Ruby Knoble.
Hi, my name is Sophia Singh.
And I'm a freshman at Caddo Magnet High.
So I'm a sophomore at Caddo Magnet High School.
And I'm a junior at Caddo Magnet High School.
I started my period in 8th grade when I went to the bathroom after my friend pointed out the fresh blood stains on my pants. I was super embarrassed and I didn't have access to any pads, so I spent the rest of my school day worrying and feeling super insecure.
When I first got my period, I had no sanitary materials. But lucky for me, the school that I was attending at the time, which is not in the parish, provided free pads and tampons for their students.
Recently, Girl Up has started to put pads and tampons in the bathrooms, and this has been so helpful. I know that if there is any kind of emergency, I can be covered.
The school board providing resources directly in the bathrooms will ensure that we are not unnecessarily missing class, stressing ourselves, or having to worry about the natural process of our bodies instead of our education.
Especially considering that many of the families that live in Caddo Parish tend to live from paycheck to paycheck, this necessary expense can be extremely costly.
Teachers at my school feel the need to pay out of pocket and take matters into their own hands to provide pads and tampons for their students with periods.
We're asking for your acknowledgement that these products are necessities and not luxuries. We need a sustainable change.
I hope that you find it in your hearts and minds to finally mandate the distribution of free pads and tampons in Caddo Parish school bathrooms. Thank you. Hi, my name is Mackenzie Sanders. Hi, my name is Mackenzie Sanders.
Okay. Thank you for listening to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all's efforts. Thank you. Our next request is from Jackie Lansdale. Ms. Lansdale? Okay, I didn't have a request, I'm sorry.
You're not on the board.
I'm sorry, there is a request on the...
It's not showing up.
It's on mine.
That's weird, it's not on his.
Okay.
Huh.
Huh.
That's weird, it's not there.
Okay. Mr. Little.
Thank you so much. I do want to request that staff have appropriate follow-up with the young adults who made the presentation today and consider the merits of their argument. I think they bring evidence and data and outstanding testimonials, and they put a great deal of work with it. So I do request maybe somebody identify themselves from staff and provide them a means to follow up. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And now, Ms. Lansdale?
Yes, thank you. I'm Jackie Lansdale. I'm president of the Red River United, 1726 Line Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. The accelerated Caddo is a continuation of mixed information and a decided lack of transparency, which has really been the MO of this district this year. Let's just go back to the beginning of the funding, March 2020, when we asked you to recognize those that had put their safety on the line last spring. While other districts did that, you did not. You consistently state you cannot use COVID funding for compensation of any kind. But according to public records, you did pay certain people.
Bless you.
Certain because we do not know who they are. The public record says you did. You call things hero, indicative of COVID dollar use, but then say, nope, we can't use those dollars, but here you are again. We've asked for the accelerated Caddo document for the past 2 weeks and have received nothing. The document was not posted on the board docs until 3:30 this afternoon. According to documents shared with us from other parishes, you're supposed to hold a public hearing within 30 days of receiving the funding. Yet here you are passing this action where you will be using ESSER funding before you even schedule a hearing. From the little time we've studied this document, we were certainly never consulted, which is part of the MO again. It appears that this will be used with limited funds. This has become a pattern. For example, a number of years ago, now this is before this TAP program, this is another TAP program, you had a program and overnight you didn't. Employees were denied their payout. The zone school payout programs was for 3 years and it ended last year. All the promises that went along with that are gone. There's a funding stream problem here in Caddo. We all know that. But you do not want to explain this to the public and ask them for their help. So instead, we continue to piece things together, and I guess you hope no one figures out how unstable this promise is to your employees. But it really, really is horrible for morale. Board members, you are the policy makers, the leaders, and in that you are very, very powerful. You are making decisions which will affect this district for many, many years to come. This is serious, serious business, and saying that nobody calls me doesn't mean that there's a reason they may not be calling you. This is serious business, and we pray you take this to heart and that you start to do your due diligence to get this right. Quite frankly, a call for a public hearing would be truly a great start. The public needs to have input, and you need to hear something beyond this echo chamber. Thank you very much for your time.
Ms. John Glover?
Is it okay if I move this device? Close it. Thank you. Good evening. John Glover, 9100 Walker Road, apartment 121, Shreveport, 71129. Unlike Ms. Lansdale, I did receive a copy of the Accelerate Caddo. It was yesterday. I did too ask for it at the last executive committee meeting. I also sent each of you all an email asking for postponement of even considering what has been recommended by the superintendent. I read the document in its entirety, and all I see is a document that has been dressed up, but the emphasis is still the same. I saw nothing in there that will address the needs of those children who remain still behind the 8 ball of academic success. Inferiority is all I continue to see. We magnify those children that do well, and well we should. But what about the children who are still struggling? Very seldom, if ever, have I heard a conversation other than when Carolyn Spike Gonzalez comes in and give you all a presentation on an issue that you all have employed her to oversee. We, have come before you time and time again, asking each of you to give our students, every student, I think that's what this Accelerate Caddo says, academic success for every child. Sort of like every child, every student succeed act, and yet there are too many in our parish, in our district, that are not succeeding. And we can only ask, why not? Then to you board members whose districts don't look like those districts that are in peril, what have you all brought to the table to ask the question, what can we do to address this need? This is not a one-man show. This is not a 12-person show. This is a show that includes an entirety of a parish. And the boys and girls, parents, are depending on each of you who have actually said, elect me and I will do due diligence in helping the boys and girls in Caddo Parish. I still have yet to see the fullness of that commitment. So I'm asking each of you all, because this is the last time I'm going to stand here for this calendar year, that you all give due diligence to what has and what has not been accomplished with regards, aside from pandemic, that keeps too many children disadvantaged. When you have a district that has every school in it failing and you never hear anything in here about it, there's a problem, people. And we're asking that you all do other than come in here and just listen. Thank you.
Mr. Mark Caprong?
What's it up? Capera?
Capera, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the board, thank you. My name is Mark Capera. I'm a 5-year veteran of teaching at Donnie Bickham. I've got 10 years teaching experience in science, biology, AP biology, robotics, STEM, as well as 5 years physical science at Donnie Bickham. I've been teaching there for sixth grade for 5 years. And it seems like what I've seen in the video presentations, there's a continuation of a problem that I think is simply going to get worse. What I came today to speak to you about is a recent change in class times and scheduling. You have decided to take away time from science and social studies to give more emphasis to reading and math. We've doubled up, apparently, on reading and math. And what I think I've realized is that after 10 years of teaching high school and middle school, it's apparent that our kids would benefit from increased literacy and math skills. There's no doubt about that. Kids across all grade levels struggle due to a lack of literacy, comprehension, and basic math skills. It's also apparent that more exposure and practice in these content areas that would benefit every student in every aspect of their development, every aspect. As part of every science concept I've ever taught, students have been asked to read descriptions, instructions, processes, data. More importantly, they're required to analyze these things. They're required to analyze this information with the goal of understanding what we've put before them. We teach comprehension. Students are required to prove their comprehension of this material by answering higher order questions, exhibit their ability to apply their understanding to actual situations. Ask any of my students, what is my goal for them as a teacher? And they'll tell you, you want us to be better thinkers. That's my goal. Our content revolves around real world. That's what we teach in science, and it would be incredibly useful for them in their future educations, their careers, and their life. We saw that on the video with the Career Center. I would also like to add the science classroom often requires the practice of basic math skills. We regularly record data, we calculate averages, we calculate frequencies, we measure length, temperature, mass, and much more. The board's decision to take time away from science and social studies is removing an opportunity for these students to practice their literacy and math skills in a format that they often find more interesting and more comfortable and more useful than the regular math classroom or the regular ELA classroom. I've always believed that the quality of something is far more important than the quantity of something. Please, please, consider the quality of our students' opportunities, not just the number of minutes they spend in a particular classroom. Thank you.
Ms. Diane Freeman.
Good evening. My name is Dion Freeman, 2813 Millard, and I'm here. I had several questions at the start of the day, and as I saw the Accelerate Caddo program documentation, but upon reading the minutes of previous meetings and considering the comments, I only have 2 questions or 2 comments for you all to consider. This pandemic has forced Caddo and the education community outside of the box. My question to each of you, to this board, to the superintendent, is what are we going to do now that we're forced outside of the box? Looking at the documentation, I see a rush to get back in. Well, we have virtual kids who need to remain virtual, but the comments, the concerns, the way in which we're going is to hurry up and get back to normal, do things the way we've been doing them, and that's what I see. But we have an opportunity to embrace a new way of doing things and just not leave our virtual kids out here. But that's what I'm seeing in the comments. I noticed that someone said that teaching should be done face-to-face. Mr. Burton said that the teachers would not be forced to combine virtual and in-face teaching. That's the view of the superintendent as well. It's a burden. Those are the words I'm hearing. And our virtual students are not a burden. They're not an obligation. They're our responsibility, and we need to embrace it as such. Now that we've been forced outside of the box, we shouldn't rush to jump back in and do things like we've always been doing. That's one question. My second concern is CVA. CVA is a great asset to our community, one that I didn't know about until I sent my child there. And they have done well, exceptionally well, compared to what they have been doing. And that is because of the way they are allowed to teach there. They are allowed to do things differently. They are allowed to embrace and implement their slogan, which is to make it personal. That's not going to happen if we put everybody in the same virtual pot, all of the high schools in the same virtual pot. That's not going to happen. We have a teacher shortage, so are we going to give them more staff? Are we going to give them more teachers to provide that type of education to the kids as they're doing now? Or are we going to just leave them as they are and just ship all the virtual kids over there? What are we going to do? The virtual kids seem to be forgotten about. They seem to be the afterthought, and that should not be. So those are my two questions about this entire Accelerate Caddo. What are we going to do for our virtual kids? And if we don't have any intention of addressing the issue, then should parents consider a K-12 academy or University View Academy to get the complete educational experience? If that's what we need to do, then parents just need to know that. If we have no intention of investing in our kids, all of our kids, then we need to know that right now as parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lisa Jimerson? Ms. Jimerson?
Good evening, good afternoon. Dr. Gorey,
Excuse me, Ms. Jimerson, we need your full name and address.
my name is Lisa Jamerson. I reside at 3066 Gordonia Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay. Dr. Gorey, you told me 3 years ago, we're replacing your principal and we're getting you a better principal. The principal we have now consider us parents, you people. Calls the children, them people. You broke your promise.
Ms. Jimerson,
I've called, no, sir. I've left messages. I've talked to the
you-
second in
well,
charge.
You're being pretty specific on personnel, and that's something we ask that you don't do.
Okay.
We can, or Dr. Gorey can have somebody meet with you later, okay?
Right.
And-
We're gonna, Ms. Woolfolk will meet with you to get your
I've
information.
already met with Mr. Minori. Am I pronouncing his name right?
Right, we're speaking to personnel, sir.
I've spoke with him several times.
We don't want to put ourselves in a legal situation, Mr. Abrams.
So what would you prefer for me to say? Would you prefer for me to say you broke your promise about the administration at Green Oaks High School? Would you prefer for me to say that? Would you prefer for
Ms.
me to
Jamerson,
say the administration
Ms.
at Green
Jamerson,
Oaks High School
Ms.
considers us?
Jamerson, Ms. Woolfolk is at the back, ready to speak with you right now. And I ask that you follow our recommendation and go with her.
She can make her comments, but she don't need to refer to the person's name.
But she could call his name when you said Green Oaks High School.
Okay, but it's the status, she can just say, she can't say whatever she wants to say. She could say what she wants to say, as long as she don't describe, you know.
Well, but she's been pretty specific, though. That's what I'm saying. She starts talking about the principal at Green Oaks High School.
She can say that, that's a public statement.
Okay. Well, we're letting Ms. Woolfolk talk, okay. Next, we have Duchess Wynn Tyson.
Good evening. My name is Duchess Wynn Tyson, and believe it or not, I have been serving for Caddo for 31 and a half
Excuse me, Ms.
years.
Tyson, we need for you to give your address.
Okay, thank you. 215 Sand Beach Boulevard, apartment 604, Shreveport, Louisiana. Zip code is 71105.
Okay, thank you.
I come here to, I've been trying to, I'm a substitute in the system. At the present moment, I do ISS. I'm an ISS facilitator. I have been doing that for 4 years, which I enjoy. But the pay, now, I receive day-to-day pay as a regular sub instead of long-term pay. And if I was a long-term sub in that position, I would get long-term pay since they there over 10 days. What I'm asking for y'all to do is switch the ISS facilitators from day-to-day sub pay to long-term sub pay, because we there every single day. And also at least give us 3 days of sick leave, you know, because we have, most of your facilitators get sick, and we do have doctor's appointment, and our children have doctor's appointment. And so we need at least 3 days where we could just take off without our pay being interrupted to take care of our doctor's appointments and our children. And that's all I ask, you know, for the facilitator pay to be increased. Thank you.
Thank you.
I get Lisa to bring her back. I get Lisa to bring her back in.
Okay.
That'll work.
Our next speaker, there is no first name. It's S. Wimberly. Okay. We're going to wait just a few minutes. Ms. Jamerson is going to be given a chance to complete her presentation. Dr. Gorey, while we've got this pause, maybe we could use this time to just discuss the Finance Division update. Is that something you would do? Or?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Am I on it? Yes. Thank you so much, Board. Just wanted to do a brief update on where we are in a district financially. Really excited to state that our sales tax are continuing to show positive growth. We're currently up about 4.4% from where we were this time last year, which is coming to a little over $2 million. So we do think this will help in making sure that we end this financial year favorably. Do thank the board. Of course, you've committed a lot of these resources in our incentive pay, so I really do thank the board for that. Our property tax collections through April are consistent with prior years collected. We do expect total collections to be approximately the amount that we did budget, so not really anticipating any huge growth in that area. We do project that oil and gas royalty revenues to be approximately about $1 million more than what we budgeted. as well as please know that as we are entering the heaviest part of the budget season, staff is still continuing to monitor closely to ensure that we are budgeting not only within expectations, but more importantly, that we're controlling some of those large costs such as personnel costs, and that includes things such as salaries and benefits, also making up, which as you know, makes up, more than 80% of our actual budget. So really making sure that we put the time and attention into monitoring that. We do look to provide you with those important budget dates very soon as we go through the budget process for the district. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ward.
Is she coming back or not? Does she even know it?
Yeah, that's
They're
where,
working with it.
that's where Mr. Abrams went. About a 5-minute recess.
I would not just wait. I would just wait.
With the young ladies.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is establishing the consent agenda. Dr. Gorey. Okay, whoops.
Thank you,
I'm sorry, it was there and it wasn't. Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll now read through our consent agenda for tonight. Item 6.01 on consent, personnel recommendation. Item 6.02 on consent, personnel transactions report, classified and certified resignations. Item 6.03, and that's not on consent, and that's request for leave, classified and certified. Item 7.01 on consent, purchasing. Item 7.02, not on consent, capital projects. Item 8.01 on consent, property bus rental request. Item 8.02 on consent, and that's the July Caddo Parish School Board meeting. And 8.1 is on consent. I think I said not on consent. 8.01 is on consent. 8.02 is, we got you. 8.02 is on consent. Item 8.03 on consent, approval of Section J policy students. Item 8.04, not on consent, consideration of proposed Accelerate Caddo incentive plan. Item 8.05 on consent, approval of recommendations related to Caddo Parish School Board vacant properties. Item 8.06, not on consent, consideration of resolution and excerpt of resolution request for Louisiana State Mineral Board advertisement. Item 13.01 on consent, student readmissions appeals hearing. We do have 3, and those families are in agreement, and that is our consent agenda.
Okay. I'd like to review some items with you to see if they could be moved to consent. Item .603, request for leaves. Is there any reason, can that be consent? Okay, thank you. Then 7.02, capital projects bids. Consent, okay. Item 8.01, it's on consent, but we have 2 board members who are directly involved with the request, and that needs to be removed from consent. All right. And then 8.04, could that be moved to consent?
So, no?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed signals here.
It's a no.
So we're going to hold it off consent, okay, okay. Okay. And then 8.06, the resolution to accept the resolution request for the State Mineral Board advertisement.
I got a question on that.
Okay, so we'll leave that off, okay. Okay. So right now on consent, we've got 6.01, 6.02, 6.03, 7.01, 7.02. And then we've taken off consent 8.01, 8.02 on consent, 8.03, 8.05, and 13.01. I'll accept a motion to accept those items on the consent agenda. Mr. Nations?
Move to establish the agenda and propose consent agenda for the April 20th, 2021 Caddo Parish School Board meeting as presented.
All right. Ms. Trammell?
Second.
Moved and seconded on the items listed on consent. Any discussion? If not, please vote. I don't see the, as long as do we have, yeah, okay, thank you. Now we'll drop down to item .801. I'm sorry, 501. We have to approve the consent agenda. I'm sorry. I accept a motion to confirm the consent agenda. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not getting the request. Mr. Rochelle?
Move to confirm the consent agenda.
Mr. Ryle?
Second.
It's been made and seconded to confirm the consent agenda. Will you please cast your vote? Okay. Now we'll move to 8.01, bus rental request. I'll accept a motion to that effect. 8.01. Ms. Trammell?
Move to approve the request for long-term use of Caddo Parish School Board properties and our buses as recommended by staff.
Okay. Mr. Rochelle?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. I'll ask the two board members under the employment of Southern University that they will abstain. Okay. Thank you. Please vote. Okay. We'll move on down to proposal 8.04, consideration of the proposed Accelerate Caddo Incentive Plan. I'll accept a motion to put that on the docket. Mr. Mail?
Move to approve the proposed accelerated Caddo incentive plan as submitted by the superintendent and outline an electronic mail out.
Ms. Bell?
Second it.
Been made and seconded. Are there any questions? Mr. Rochelle?
Well, you got to get the people.
I'm sorry, Ms. Trammell. It's just not showing up. Yeah, yes, Ms. Trammell, go ahead.
Okay, there are several parts of our complete plan that, there are some questions as it relates to making it clear to the public so they'll know what's included in the plan. Dr. Goree, is there a way that we can write some of this stuff in complicity to make sure that everyone knows what the plan is that we're trying to do? Because some things just sound like we're going to do A, B, and C, but the explanation is not very clear. Am I making sense?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Ms. Trammell, we will make every effort to make this plan crystal clear to the constituents, as well as to the people that are working within our system. One thing I will tell you about the incentive plan is that as these dollars are coming in and as we're having opportunities to plan, this is not the last time that we will come to this horseshoe with the request from this board to expense these dollars towards recapturing learning or doing what we think is in the best interest of our student population. One thing I'll tell you, when you look at these funds, and I heard a superintendent describe it perfectly, you have to think about them in terms of 4 summers and 3 school years, because that's pretty much what you have to really use these dollars as best we possibly can to recapture learning for our students. Everything that you see today is directly related to the issues that we have with finding teachers, and that has been an ongoing situation since I came up 20 to take this job. This is only an effort for us to do everything we can to get ahead, as far ahead of the curve as we can in this incentive plan with finding those needed teachers to fill the vacancies that already exist, as well as some of those that have been created by the addition of instructional minutes in certain areas in our school system.
So this would be like phase 1?
Totally phase 1. I mean, when we talk about Accelerate Caddo, this is a part of, this incentive plan is a part of our Jumpstart 2.0, which is still very much, everything's in line with the work that our state is doing. So this is all in line with that. So this is the first part. There will be several other opportunities for us to come with things that we can do to help support our students by utilizing these funds.
Okay, now there's a section in there where we say that we would give an incentive to whoever would recommend. That needs to be sort of explained to me so I understand.
Well, actually, Mr. Mel, that was removed out. As we worked through principles, as we worked through system, voices, there were some concerns with that, so we did
well, I didn't see the
remove it out.
revised.
Yeah, it should be the what's on board doc should be revised. Okay, right, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes, what's on board doc should be revised, so that part is not in there at this time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Ms. Bell?
Okay. What you say was removed?
So if you'll remember when Ms. Woolfolk presented this 2 weeks ago to the public, there was an incentive in there where we were doing a teacher-to-teacher incentive where a teacher could earn up to $1,000 for referring another teacher to come to our school system. And staff just wants to take some additional times to research that to ensure that it does work effectively to help us to get teachers in schools before we bring that back to the board.
Okay. Okay, the only thing I'm going to say that I know when this plan came out, and the Channel 12 did do a thing on it. They broke some of it down. So it's been out in the public, but I agree with Ms. Trammell. Something we just have to do it on late term. So I agree with her that we need to put it out there, but it was presented on, I was looking at it on Channel 12, where they was breaking some of these things down and it did on the other. So I just like for them to, sometimes, like you said, that we just have to break it down where people can understand. If they had to have community meet or whatever, do that, because I think it's a good plan, very good plan. And it took a lot of work, and they need to understand this for 3 years.
Right. And one thing I do want to appreciate, though, is that we have to make sure that the community is engaged in this part of the conversation. Now, this is $4 million of, I'll just say a lot of money, okay? And this does not make up a percentage of the money that we will receive over the next 4 summers and 3 years. There will be so many opportunities to engage community as well as this board around this. But I ask this board to remember the critical importance of us being ahead of this recruiting conversation as we're looking for teachers in a field where very few exist. So we have to make sure we're as competitive as we can, not only with attracting new teachers, but in the plan with keeping the ones that we actually have. So those are incentives that are highlighted in what we present tonight.
And I'd like to just say this. We have to remember, this plan is to catch up our babies that was been behind. This is, and then when you say that they're going to be open, that all schools going to be open, that's not just for the people that's, the kids that's up there, it's for all our students. So we really trying to do this a catch-up plan. And they're doing it all over the nation. Catch up. Thank you.
Mr. Rochelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. In the last board meeting, it was discussed that this wasn't a one-year plan. That this is a 3-year plan, correct?
4 summers, 3 years. We have
Okay.
4 summers and 3 years in which we will expense the monies as they're related to ESSA 2 and ESSA 3 funds. Yes. So again, there will be so many more. We could not begin to really spend this sum of money in one night. So it's going to be several opportunities, and I appreciate and certainly commit to engage in the community as much as we possibly can as we make these decisions.
Okay, there was a question posed at from the podium talking about a public hearing. I've not heard that. I wanted to find out if that's what we need to do there.
Right, certainly district will have public hearings as they're prescribed in the plan. Public hearing as described to this is based on actually when you get money in district. Certainly we'll provide you with information around that. Money is not in district yet. We're preparing ahead so that we can be prepared to move as quickly as we can as those revenues are received. But those public hearings will certainly take place. And I just remind this board that this is less than a percentage of the money. So there will be, where appropriate, we will have those public hearings. Again, we did do that as we started. There were some prescribed things that we did as we did our first reentry plan. But again, as we look at the reentry plan and things around that, we certainly will have that as it relates to the monies.
Okay, because right now we're approving a plan, not having the funds, and going to have the hearing after this. So I'm just trying to figure out, so what's the purpose of the hearing if we've done this?
I do think the hearing, and again, staff thought on this, was that if we're going to be ahead of this recruitment season, and I don't think anyone agrees with that, we've got to move forward with some of our incentive plans. Now, again, there is so much more to be discussed around the revenue that we're receiving, and we're talking in excess of $200 million. So there's so many other conversations that we will have around that. And again, there will be public hearing after public hearing to address that. And again, we do look to make our public hearings as transparent as possible. The thought being that when we presented this to the board, the community had opportunity to speak to that. But again, if it's necessary for us to do our public hearings differently, we will certainly look at and entertain that. And again, that's the type of things that staff looks at after we leave the horseshoe and we hear public comment.
Can you clarify the 200 million? Is that 200?
I would prefer give you a more specific. I don't want to just. What you're looking at here is that when you look at the monies, and there will be several draws that we'll take on the money, you look at the revenue, the ESSA 3 funds will, and if you add up all the revenue that we'll receive as federal stimulus dollars, you're going to be approaching that 200 million mark.
For Caddo Parish
For Caddo
alone?
Parish alone. And I will say the gaps are just that large, though.
Did not realize that it was going to be that amount of funds.
That's fine. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go. No.
So we're looking at up to 200 million, then that's an estimate at this point in time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's going to be coming in over what period of time?
You have 3 years and 4 summers.
All right, so it's going to be coming in.
Right, in different ways, the monies will actually come in.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman and Superintendent, if there is a requirement that there be a public hearing, I suggest that this matter be postponed, that it be reset.
Well,
and just actually have it prior to the board voting on it.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me.
Certainly, staff certainly will pull this at the advisement of the attorney, and we'll give the attorney the opportunity to review that to make sure that we protect the board.
And
Certainly, we have no problem with that.
It can be brought at a special meeting or whatever the board wants to do. It doesn't have to be any particular time. It's just that we need to list it on with a public hearing right before it be added. It could be a special call meeting before the next meeting. If you want to do it that way, it can be done. That way, there will be no question.
Is that it, Mr. Avery? The process would be to remove the motion from the table. And that has to be done by, I'll accept a motion to table the motion, okay.
Not table, just remove it.
No, it's just remove it.
To remove it, okay. We'll just remove it, okay. Ms. Trammell?
Mr. President, at this time, we would like to postpone the item number 8.04 until a special call board meeting, maybe?
Public hearing.
Public hearing, well, the hearing is going to take place at the board meeting, right?
Right.
Ms. Bell, do you concur?
I concur, law is the board, it had here, a special meeting here at the boardroom. Yes.
Okay.
Seconded.
I have a second to remove the motion.
Okay.
Is there any discussion?
If I could just say one thing.
Dr. Gorey,
I'm sorry, you can
You got
get a
one.
board member.
Dr. Benson.
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to go? Certainly, at the advice of the attorney, we will remove this. Staff is indicating that we do believe we're within compliance with the law. But again, it's so much easier to remove it and bring this back. I do ask the board members to be available because we need to move pretty quickly if we're going to get the best teachers. Thank you.
Ms. Trammell?
How much time do we need to make sure that the public can be involved?
You could make it tomorrow if you had a 24-hour
well, the
notice.
next-
But this is going to be up to the board as to, you could reset it for next Tuesday or whenever you decide you want to do it. But you just want to make sure it's on the agenda.
Next, okay.
Would-
All right.
Would next Tuesday give you sufficient time?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want to add that to your motion?
Yeah, we would set it for next Tuesday, which would be April
27.
27th. And
Second.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Benson's on the board. I'm not sure if you're.
Well, we're stepping up. We're about to remove the motion from the table, or from the agenda.
No.
It's what we're working on now.
He wants to speak to the motion.
Okay, all right, well, let's get the motion put together first. All right, we have a motion to remove it, and at the same time, we're motioning to schedule a meeting next Tuesday, April the 27th. And Mr. Mayor, were you about to mention a time?
4:30 is good? Yeah, 4:30.
Next
4:30?
Tuesday?
Okay. I have a motion with a second that we bring this item up at special board meeting, April the 27th, 4:30 PM, here in the boardroom. Mr. Vincent, you want to speak to it?
Yes, sir. I would just simply ask that we please allow more time. I just don't think we can get enough input if we put this. It won't go out probably until tomorrow. This is, as the superintendent highlighted, this is a big deal. And we want to take it, at least if we need to go on some brief road show or something, so we can hit these communities that may have some input, because we could see it's empty now, and I don't see folks showing up just to, so maybe we need to take it to them. I would just ask staff to try to do that if at all possible.
Mr. Ryle, do you need to speak to the motion? Okay, and Ms. Thorpe, do you need to speak to the motion? I don't know why we're not getting a request on the board. We're not getting a request.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry, Ms. Thorpe.
President. Thank
You're
you.
on now.
I just want to ask, was this plan was sent out to parents, was it not, through J Campus, or, because I had some parents who knew about it. Was this?
Right, no, ma'am. The plan was presented last, at the board meeting, our last board meetings when we actually presented the plan. And that's the only time
That's
it's
the only
actually
time.
gone out.
Okay.
And they're here.
But it's followed the same procedures as any of our other budgets have followed, and we are within compliance with the law. But again, we will be more than happy to work with staff and the community as best we can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll just pass that to you.
It seems to be working.
I don't know, we're there for a long time.
Right, and I certainly do, Mr. Aubrey, want to appreciate the staff and their hard work at getting us to this point, and we do look forward to continuing to work hard to get back here as quickly as we can so that our recruiters can get busy finding teachers.
Okay, Ms. Thorpe,
That was all. Thank you.
okay,
You need to sit on the other page.
I see that, I mean, that, it went off there.
You need to be sitting on the other page.
All right. Is that the other page?
Now, you're on the mic on.
I don't know, I'm fixing to
Where do I need to go?
Hit the back arrow. Okay, right there.
Okay. Ms. Green?
So since we know that there is no public, public hearing is not required, are we going to go on and move forward, or are we going to postpone until next week? I mean,
Right, it's my understanding that it has been postponed, and staff certainly will.
do we vote on it yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
It's still an
Okay.
open
we
motion.
can move forward, we can postpone it.
Mr. Abrams, do you need to add anything to this? Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Yes. Okay, you're
I
on.
was just advised and presented with the ESSER 3 update from Mr. Burton, where he indicated that there was no requirement for a public hearing under the statute, under the requirements. However, if the board decides to go ahead and move it, it can, since you already have done that. So in the future, so we're clear, there is no requirement according to what the State Department has presented that of having a public hearing. It just requires that they actually be on the website, is what it says. So anyway, we'll go ahead, and you can go ahead and postpone it. It's not going to hurt to do it at this point in time. But we'll be clear on the next one as to what you need to do.
It just puts us a week behind on finding teachers. Yeah, leave it, Paul,
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Trammell?
Let me make sure I'm understanding. All right, the staff is saying there is no requirement, right?
Staff is saying that we are in compliance with the law.
We're in
as it's
compliance with
written.
law. As long
Right.
as we're in compliance with the law, please know that that motion can be surely taken off. That's what I want to make sure.
What I will say is staff is
'Cause we've
perfectly
not voted on
fine
it.
with leaving it removed, and we'll come back next week. And that'll give us more opportunity to really make sure that we have an effective plan in place, I mean, is what I'll say. Now, does that put us a week behind on finding teachers that we need yesterday? Absolutely. But again, I do want the board to have comfort as we move forward.
Well, I want us to make sure that we're going to get staff in place. My question was simply to make sure that it's a clear understanding of what we're doing. Reading what we get with those little bullets, there is no explanation, to me. I don't, maybe other people understand, but I'm
Right,
just saying.
and what I will say to you, Mr. Trammell, as we go through this process, and to the board, the document supporting this is over 400 pages, and that's just the first one. And when you look at, if you've dealt, and I know you are familiar with this, Mr. Trammell, from your work in the system, when you're dealing with federal dollars, there's going to continue to be manual after manual.
Okay.
We are communicating directly with the state as we speak, so I'm certain that we could have moved forward. However, if it's the pleasure of the board that we can postpone it.
Yeah, okay. All
So,
right.
so that we're clear also,
Okay.
I just finished reading the rest of this document, and the way it reads, no matter what you do, it says in the very last line, please ensure your system has received public comment within 30 days of receiving funds, and an updated plan is
well, that
published
worked.
to the school system website. So it's still going to require somewhere down the road, even if you voted on it, that you would, that's what's kind of confusing, as you pointed out. It is confusing, but it says, ensure your system has received public comment within 30 days of receiving funds. So it seemed like it anticipated you having something moving on, and then later on, you still have to do it and provide an update to the community as to what you're doing. with
Right,
it, an
and I
updated
apologize
plan.
if I wasn't clear about that. That's what, when I was spoke to 30 days from funds, that's what I was speaking to.
Right.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Well, I don't know if it's friendly or not, but you can remove the postponement and move ahead.
It has to be voted on.
It has to be
You've already-
voted on, yes.
You already voted
Okay.
on it.
Well, y'all,
Ms. Bell?
I'm still we can't hear over here. What Mr. Mayor said about remove, what you say, Mr. Mayor, because we can't hear you.
oh, well, the mic is not on, Bill, that's why you can't hear.
Say what? The light's not on, well, we'd like to know what you're saying. It's on now.
Mr. Mayor, you're live. You're live.
You ain't finna worry me with it. All right, parliamentarian, attorney. We have a 30-day window, right?
You
After
have,
the funding.
according to this deal, it looks like you have to put your plan up on, within 30 days of receiving funds, you make it publicly available on your website, a plan for the safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services. It says, please ensure your system has received public comment within 30 days of receiving funds. So it appears that what you're doing is giving preliminary approval to begin this process. And then when
Okay.
you receive the funds, you have to have another public hearing, a public comment within 30 days of receiving the funds, which don't make a whole lot of sense. And an updated plan is published
Thank you.
to the school system's website. That's what it says. Now, I skipped about four or five lines in there, but that's what it says. So I still recommend that if you're talking about spending funds, let's make it as tight as we can. Since you've already postponed it, you're going to have another meeting, deal with it,
On the
then come
27th.
back 30
Okay.
days after receiving, within 30 days of receiving funds.
And have another.
Do it again.
One thing I'll add to that, Mr. Abrams, though, next Tuesday, we still would not have received the funds.
I know.
Those funds, so, I mean,
I
we're going to
understand.
have to either look at how do we reallocate general funds or something to move forward so that my people can recruit
get our money
teachers.
back.
You cannot hold us accountable if our hands are going to be held board when we're trying to find ways to get teachers. And that's unfair to my staff, and it's my job to speak up for that.
I'm still not, we are holding your hand, say that
For the
again?
whole plan.
So my thought is that if we want to
We need
receive the
money.
money, right, we need to
So we
figure out
need
a
the
way.
free money.
We got to figure, by next Tuesday, we're going to figure out a way. It's my hopes that this board can support us with moving forward with this incentive plan so that we can
Okay.
recruit teachers.
Okay, well, I can do that. All right.
Ms. Bell?
Okay. You made the motion, Miss, you made the motion, Miss, you gonna make the motion or what?
The postponement is good, and we'll follow through on the 27th, and he's gonna bring a plan with the money. So do we include that in the motion, that we find funds?
You don't need it.
And we,
I think it's understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. And what I need, okay, and then, what I'm saying, this, okay, with us having a meeting next week, will this delay the plan? All of this that you have planned, is this gonna delay it too, or we will be able to do our accelerated plan?
Right, that will delay the plan for a week, Ms. Bell.
Just for a week? And that's all we really can afford to do, because we need to get these teachers and everybody ready for the summer, right? Okay, I'll second it if that's in the plan.
Dr. Vinson?
Man. How much money are we talking about? Is it the entire $4 million for the teachers? Or do we know about how much money we need for teacher recruitment?
Right, this proposal, this part today is the $4.8 million is what we're asking for. And this is not just teacher recruitment, I remind you, these are our current incentives for our current teachers as well. But again, these are tied to next year, so we will take this week to build on this.
Yes, sir. I guess I'm confused myself. Why can't we just go full thrust with the public hearings up front and get the good information and then implement the plan?
Right. Again, by the time we're in the midst of.
Excuse me, Dr. Lilly. I
sorry.
let
I
everybody,
apologize.
I was quiet when everyone else was speaking. Can I please get the same respect? Yes, sir.
Correct. So what I would say to you is that we are building this plan, and, the reason why we brought you the incentive plan today, and there are so many other plans that are involved around Tier 1 curriculum, so many PD plans that we'll bring as we approve this entirety of this budget. In fact, our budget's not even due to the state yet. So as to how we spend these dollars. But we brought this incentive plan because generally speaking, we try and we have always been ahead of the curve with our incentives and improving those and authorizing those revenues so that we could get out and recruit teachers, appreciating that we are an urban school system and the only one in this North Texas area. So we do have challenges with convincing teachers that this is the best place for them to come. So our goal was to get ahead of the curve and beat our neighboring districts who are already have their $10,000 incentives on their Facebooks, trying to get ahead of that so that we too could be competitive in recruiting teachers. And I do believe in a week we'll have that same opportunity. But when you look at the revenue that we're talking about and what's required, I would not recommend that we I do want to engage community, do not get me wrong, but when we talk about public shows and things of that nature, I don't think that's going to be the way we can allocate these resources, as we don't allocate our general fund budget dollars that way either.
Yes, sir. I'll make this comment, and I guess I'll be done. We don't even know the amounts on here. We just, as past president said, we don't have any dollar amounts, so I think it would also...
They're all in there. If you go to the document in your board docs, they're all tied in there.
Great point, great point. And I think we should have gotten another presentation because there's many things that we didn't even know had been revised. So I thought it was the same document. So I apologize for that because I've been studying this document I received 2 weeks ago. So I apologize for that.
And staff would be happy to do that. Generally speaking, it has not been the favor of this board to do presentations at our regular board meetings, but we do those at our executive sessions.
I would surely ask you to do that if things have been removed, because ultimately, the incentive pay was one of the things that we were all excited about, and I think that was removed, and we didn't even, one of the pay scales were removed, and we didn't know about it. And also, I'm looking at the financial division update. Do you think these funds would cover the recruitment piece that we're...
No, sir. Those funds, that's just an update on where we are with our budget. We're still hoping that, and remember, some of those funds have already been allocated. And again, I feel very strongly that, the federal government supports the way we're spending these monies. We're going to be okay. I mean, the district, I think that this board is going to be okay with approving the incentive plans that we have in place.
Yes, sir. I think public trust is important. We're hearing it all over the place. If we hear it, let's try to get on the front end, have the hearings in some format, and maybe move forward. Because we know that there were students that were behind before the pandemic. So maybe there needs to be more resources. And when I say more, I don't know the dollar amount, Dr. Gray. But as we know, if we talked about in our retreat, students were behind. So they may need to receive some, when I go to a doctor and I'm dehydrated, they don't give me a drink of water and say, go home and drink it. They give me an IV. So you get my point. Thank you all so very much.
Absolutely. And what I'll add, though, is just in all fairness, my staff spends past 8 hours a day achieving exactly what you just described. And that will be a part of the plan that we'll present.
Dr. Vincent, is that?
Yes, sir.
That conclude? Mr. Nations?
Just a point, and thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of clarification. The motion on the table is to postpone this vote for a week. Is that correct? So by voting against this, a board member would say, we're ready to move forward now. To make sure that's our understanding. Okay, thank you.
Go back to the original motion.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rochelle?
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand and very grateful for what the staff has done, and Dr. Corey, I don't want to put words in your mouth. you're okay with us going 1 week, knowing that it's going to be delayed, correct? I mean, just for 1 week, and then I have a follow-up coming after this.
Right, at the advisement of your council, I'm very much okay with that.
Okay, all right, so number 2 is, and this is only me, okay, is I'd like to believe that the whole board would agree with this comment, is that I would proceed, we know that the funds are coming in. That's not, there's not anything in question about that. I don't see any reason with this, with y'all just going ahead and proceeding. The hearing is just, it's just part of the procedure that we're going to be still getting to the same place. So that would be my suggestion. Again, I'm not the whole board, but that would be something that I would certainly consider of just moving forward with that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Ryle?
Call for the question on both motions.
I have a motion for the question. Is there a second? We have a second. We'll vote on the call for the question.
Mr. President, can I give you some legal advice since I'm not a member of this board? This will not be giving you a comment on, because I reviewed this document that I just received. It does not require a public hearing at all, the way I read this. This document does not require a public hearing. It only requires that there be a process where within 30 days of receiving funds that you receive comments, okay, comments. Don't mean it has to be before a vote. Comments, and an updated plan is published on the school system website. So I just want the board to know it does not require a public hearing based on this document that I've just received, okay? So you're now clear that it does not require that.
Okay, we're voting on the call for the question. Okay, the call for the question has been approved. We now go back to the motion. The motion is to delay the implementation of the incentive pay for the teachers until we meet again on April the 27th at 4:30 here in the boardroom.
I have I'd like that to be clarified.
I do too, because you
Yeah,
know what I said.
I'm afraid I may have heard two different things.
Okay, Mr. Mel, would you repeat your
All
motion?
right now.
Your mic's not on. 1 minute,
Just a
Mr.
moment,
Mayor.
just a moment. Just a moment, just a moment. There you are.
Okay. My first question was, so I could get clarity on some of the things that were listed in this document that we got, for clarity, so we would understand fully what was taking place. Then, it was brought to our attention that we needed to have a hearing, so we could put that in. I was not trying to delay the action. I want to understand what we're doing. If you look at the bullets that's on there, there are no explanations fully to tell you what's happening in this document. Now, some of you may have received something different, but on the one I have, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, but.
We have call for the question to end debate.
Well, the debate is ended, but that's not the motion that I gave.
But we're not.
Okay, mine was a point of clarification.
Okay.
Is all that I was looking for this item that we're about to vote on.
That's, okay.
So what is the motion?
The
What is
motion
the
would be to
exact motion?
postpone until the 27th.
7, yeah, until we get some clarity. And my part, I was injecting the part that you were asking for the whatever.
Okay, so the motion is just to postpone this to the 27th?
Right.
Okay, that's the only motion, that's all I need to hear, is just that.
That's it.
Mr. Eldon,
That's it.
She didn't hear you. Dr. Dozar? Oh, she got, never mind.
okay, the motion's carried, and we'll postpone any action until next week. Before we move on, I'm going to take just a point as chairman. I think we need to understand that there is no requirement for public hearing. Public input is required after we receive the money. An editorial comment would be that if we're not careful, we're going to get in the quagmire of bureaucracy when we tell our staff, yeah, we're trying to get ahead on this recruiting, but we don't want you to do it unless we go out and tell the world. I think we have to remind ourselves we were elected to make these kinds of decisions, to expeditiously put our system in a position to be out there first. We have a need, as I understand it, for some 90 teachers to take care of the proposal. We're not implementing the proposal right now. We're just trying to get the people required to implement in place before everybody in the world goes out. I know Dr. Gorey mentioned North Texas, but he was really talking about Northwest Louisiana, okay? So let's take a look now. Mr. Ryle,
I'm on for the next motion.
on the next motion, okay?
8.06, what am I on for?
Yeah. 8.06, consideration of the resolution to request for the Louisiana Mineral Agreement. And
Okay.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Motion?
Yes, on the consideration of the mineral lease. Mr. Rochelle?
Did he?
I asked for that motion a while ago. You took my name off.
Okay.
I had it on there.
But you're making the motion, as I understand.
I'm making the motion.
Okay, and I'm asking for a second.
Okay.
So I asked Mr.
But I had made the
Rochelle if he
motion.
would second.
And I
Okay.
second.
And now, Mr. Rao, would you like to speak to that motion?
No, would you like me to make the motion? I never did make it.
I'm sorry, I thought you just said that.
No.
Mr.
You gotta
Rao.
read it.
Looking
Okay.
at item 8.06.
Move to approve a resolution to lease approximately 63.28 acres at Northwood School and approximately 9 acres at Pine Grove Elementary School, and an extract of a resolution requesting the Louisiana State Mineral Energy Board and the Office of Mineral Resources to advertise these properties for oil and gas leases as recommended by staff and submitted in electronic mailout.
Thank you. Mr. Rochelle,
I second.
we have a motion and a second on the mineral lease as described. Mr. Rao, would you
Okay,
like to speak to it?
I've got a question. Is this, I guess, this will go to Mr. Greer, is Northwood property, is it currently leased, or has the lease run out?
No. I'll answer those questions for you.
Okay.
This will be a current lease on it. This will be the first lease on that property.
Okay, the first lease on that property. Now, I looked through the documents, I didn't see a no drill clause in there.
No what?
A no drill clause.
It is.
We don't want to be drilling on Northwood High School.
It says no surface drilling.
It says no surface drilling at all?
It
Okay,
does.
I didn't catch that. That's all I got.
And it's $108,543 in bonus dollars.
Yeah, that's all right. I just didn't want them drilling on the property.
Mr. Rochelle?
My only question is the And I know it says minimum royalty of 20%. Is there a reason why we don't have 25% in there?
We negotiated on it. Couldn't get it.
Okay. I
This is
just,
being-
remember, I negotiate 7 days a week. That's that's it. Y'all have done that?
We've been
That-
pushing hard on that one, and it's the same company that last year we had to deal with and negotiated on it to get the 20%. And basically, the bonus came in at $1,500. And they're not going to, there were some expenses that they're not going to charge us with, which Mr. Madison negotiated with them on that issue also.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I don't have any other speaking requests. We'll move to the motion. Will you please indicate your vote?
We'd have to express written consent lesser, which may be withheld at the sole discretion.
Okay, motion carries.
Shall not conduct any service.
Oh, I got you, okay.
We'll move down now to the superintendent's report.
I think we covered, with the only thing I wanted to present, we have several items there, of course, for information only. I did want to speak to to those financial bullets, and we've actually taken care of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Anything else? Any old business to be brought before the board? Any new business to be brought before the board? Are there any announcements by board members? Ms. Thorpe?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to remind everybody that tonight is the forum, Bessie Board District 4 Forum at Broadmoor Presbyterian Church, and it's about to start in 5 minutes.
5
so-
minutes?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Rochelle?
I just, I'm assuming this is time for request also?
Yes.
Okay. I'd just like to know what the balance of our 2019 bond funds are, because some of the projects that we just approved, we're still operating out of those funds right there, and I'd like to know what that balance is left in that. That's it.
Dr. Vincent?
I just wanted to follow up on the young lady who spoke about the facility pay versus the, I think, long-term sub. And so just wanted to throw that out. I think we have a request going in for that. And also, I wanted to say, I know it's a tough situation with the young lady speaking, but some way we need to find an even medium to allow the community to speak, because they may be reporting it to staff and it just not be making it to the peak of where it needs to. And what other way would they have to get the information to us besides speaking at the horseshoe? So let's give them some form of consideration also, please.
Mr. Mayo?
Mr. President, once upon a time, this, Dr. Goree, was the information that the young lady shared with us from Magnet. There used to be machines in the ladies' area, once upon a time, but I think that we can make some kind of adjustments to help them with this project, if it's
Right.
possible.
And we are going to bring you information about what we already do, too, in those areas. But I
Okay.
love that thought and look forward to visiting with those students about how we can expand that and make aware of the dollars that we do spend in these areas and providing the
okay.
counseling centers.
Okay, thank you.
I have no other request, so I would accept a motion to adjourn. Mr. Nations has indicated a motion. Is there a second? All right. It's been made and seconded. Would you please vote to adjourn?